Mead. Mead. To AdaptNATION, the show where we look at adaptations from across the nation. I'm your host, Owen Adams, and with me is your other host, Jonathan Coudard. How you doing, John?
Oh, I'm feeling slashy and gnashy and bashy and.
You know what I'm in the mood
bashy?
for? Some mead. Mead. John Malkovich's greatest performance, in my opinion. Mead.
I was gonna bring that up later.
Mead.
Mead. Here, let me find my stick to just randomly beat this child with. This is the show, if you guys are not familiar, where we talk about movies that are based on things that are not movies. Yeah. Adaptations, what do you know?
Yeah, adaptations. We don't consider remakes. We're not doing remakes, so it can't be movies based on other movies. That would be just peculiar.
Yeah.
But movies based on movies. And we're going way back now to the, in many ways, the oldest English language source material. To Beowulf.
Beowulf!
The Robert Zemeckis movie. I keep expecting it to go, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! Do you remember that?
That was Vinnie Jones, though, wasn't it?
Oh, I know, but he sounds the same, so I don't care.
Are you the one they call Beowulf? Such a strong man you are. A man like you could own the greatest tale ever sung. Beowulf, stay with me. Give me a son, and I shall make you the greatest king that ever lived. This, I swear. You will forever be king. Forever strong. Mighty. Beyond imagination.
What are you? She's not my curse. Not anymore.
Racist.
I'm racist against the English? I think we've got it coming, to be fair. A history of sending it out. I think we're due a little bit back, right? It's probably okay. This is the Zemeckis movie from 2007. The middle chapter of his motion capture, Uncanny Valley, God, this is awful to look at trilogy. He began with Polar Express and concluded with Christmas Carol.
Did this come after Christmas Carol or before Christmas Carol?
Before. I think.
To the IMDb!
To IMDb. Well, this came out 2007. Or I'm looking. Zemeckis Christmas Carol. 2009 was Christmas Carol.
Okay.
And then Polar Express was 2004. So it was a little run where Zemeckis was like, what if I just had a little period in my career where I just made really ugly CGI movies? That's what I should go for, you know?
Yeah.
At least Tom Hanks wasn't everybody in this one.
Ugh. I wish he would have been.
Oh, we'll get into what we think about this, but we've deliberately not said anything about how we feel about this movie, I think, right? We've held off. Shall I do my plot summary? Should we do this for people who are not familiar with the movie?
Hit us with it.
All right. Lo, praise of the prowess of people kings, of spear-armed Danes. Oh, sorry, that's just Beowulf. Yeah. All right. So, set in medieval Denmark, the court of King Hrothgar. After a night of long celebration, is attacked by a monster known as Grendel, who despises the sound of merrymaking. He attacks the hall, killing several people, and after the monster's attack, Hrothgar orders the mead hall closed so that they don't incur his wrath again. And then one day, a hero named Beowulf turns up in his boat, where he likes to scream into the wind and rain. Turns up to kill Hrothgar's monster, which he does by opening the mead hall so that Grendel returns to attack, taking off all his clothes and fighting him naked, and ripping off his arm. Grendel, quite unhappy about this, and mortally wounded, stumbles home to tell his mother that he was killed by Beowulf. So Grendel's mother seeks revenge and returns to the hall and attacks more people. Which is when King Hrothgar basically reveals, I didn't mention this earlier, but there's two of them. And so Beowulf goes, okay, right, fair enough, I'll go kill the other one. And he goes to kill the mother, but when he gets there, the Grendel's mother basically says, well, you know, you'd like to be king, and I'd kinda like another son. So how about, rather than the whole killing me thing, we'll just sleep together. I'll get another kid out of it. You can be king as long as I get to keep this dragon-shaped goblet that you've brought me, which I forgot to mention earlier. I just remembered now, but it's sort of important. And Beowulf agrees. And then he goes back to the kingdom and basically goes, yeah, killed her. And a few people are a little bit suspicious, and Hrothgar, it is implied... Hrothgar, it is implied, slept with Grendel's mother also some years earlier. And realizes what Beowulf's done, so he kills himself. Beowulf takes the throne, and then we leap forward many years into the future when Beowulf's son returns. The product of his union with Grendel's mother returns to once again seek revenge upon the merrymaking humans in the form of a giant dragon. Beowulf kills the dragon, but in the process dies. It's not that different to the poem. Therefore, it's pretty simple. There's details here and there, but that's basically it. He kills Grendel, he sleeps with Grendel's mother, fathering a son, and then they kill the son. As a dragon. He was a dragon at the time. Is that... Did I miss anything? I'm sorry. I wrote this, I immediately forgot to write this one, so I had to very quickly dash it together. I apologize. Did I miss anything significant?
I mean, no. I mean, I guess you could have mentioned... this is, I guess, set in the oncoming onslaught of Christianity, but
yeah, they really should have prayed to that new Roman god Chris.
Yeah. Chris.
They're all which is, relatively true to the poem, I suppose. To be fair, the dragon-shaped goblet thing is actually pretty important. When Beowulf goes to sleep with... when he goes to kill Angelina Jolie,
It's not even Grendel's mother anymore. It is Angelina Jolie.
He's just CGI. Beowulf is just walking through Hollywood like photorealistic. He's on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And the cast and crew, they just let it happen because they know it's for the best.
Aww. Angelina Jolie's done some wonderful work.
Yeah, but they were making Mr. and Mrs. Smith at the time.
I liked Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
So
I mean, I'm
when
sure
he goes
Jennifer Aniston would have liked that, but
when he goes to kill Grendel's mother, she basically says, "You can be king as long as I keep this, drinking goblet."
right.
And one day it is just found by a guy. This is when the dragon comes back. This guy just finds it by a tree, and Beowulf's like, "Oh yeah, this thing that I lost when I killed that thing. That sure did happen." I mean, he's a pretty shitty liar, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of our questions. I mean, I'm gonna just say to you guys, I probably did a terrible job summarizing this one, because this is one where there's probably a lot to talk about in this movie, but it's not really in the plot details.
No.
The plot is actually really simple. Beowulf comes to kill Grendel, then he gets sent to kill Grendel's mother, but he doesn't do it, he makes a deal with her instead. Years later, he has a dragon son that comes to kill him, and he dies killing it. That is basically the gist.
Right.
so
And who hasn't
first
had
question.
that moment?
I mean, this is a movie about three men who can't resist fucking a lizard.
It's true.
I mean, I hate to say it. That's the gist.
We don't. The third one is ambiguous.
He's like, as soon as these women are out of the way, I'm gonna fuck that lizard. He doesn't even need to, though, because he's already king. That's clearly the deal she makes. They're all like, "What deal did you make?" What do you mean deal? What does she offer in return? Return? Isn't this reward enough?
Banged Angelina Jolie. But she has that lizard tail. So?
Hey. You don't look at the poker when you... So, first question. Were you familiar with the source material before you watched this movie?
I was... I want to say not terribly familiar. I think everyone went through that unit in high school where we had to learn about Beowulf.
Right.
Beowulf!
Did you learn the bit where Beowulf lies about killing a sea monster? Is that...
There's probably somewhere in there. But, yeah, so I did the high school unit, and I actually had to do, a secondary after-school class for a period of time, because I was stupid and signed up for it. And we did Beowulf there, too. It was all about, that class is more about the hero's journey, rather than specifically Beowulf. They just used Beowulf as an example. But,
Right. So... did you familiarize yourself before the movie, or did you just go in?
I just went in. I just went for it. I remembered enough.
I had done this. I didn't do it in school. I did it in my first year of university, so college, basically.
School.
And funnily enough, it was high school. I didn't do it. I did it when I was a little bit older. So funnily enough, this movie was out while I was studying this in school, and there was some talk of going to see it in preparation, but we didn't. I mean, this was the first movie I remember being a mocap movie, because I hadn't really paid attention to Polar Express. This was the one I remember being the big mocap movie where everyone was like, they look just like the real actors. They don't.
No.
They sort of do, but they also don't.
No, that looks nothing like Ray Winston.
Well, okay, that does. Alright, but Angelina Jolie is pretty accurate.
Angelina Jolie, I think Gleason comes off okay.
Anthony Hopkins, you can tell it's him.
Yeah, for the most part. But that looks nothing like Ray Winston.
And the voice is so wrong. Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay, so myself, I was passingly familiar with it too. I remembered the broad story beats, which is about what you really need to remember for it. Second question then. Do you think this is a good adaptation of the source material?
Okay, I guess... Does it cover the main story beats of the poem? Yes.
Basically.
Does it add some of the weird Scandinavian stuff from yes. So I guess yes, it was a good adaptation because it told the story.
I actually quite like one of the things they explore is the poem doesn't have any of this stuff about Hrothgar being Grendel's father.
Hrothgar!
But I do kind of like that they were like, well, if Grendel's mother's in, who's Grendel's father? Like, shouldn't maybe
Right.
that was an interesting thing. And I also quite liked the way they just went, yeah, we should just make it as if medieval people made this film. It's almost like Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? Where they're like, no, we're going full in on the how shitty were people in the medieval time.
Right.
We're going all in on this. Mead. Alright, so we got through those pretty quickly. Like, I agree. I think it covers the basic plot, but it also... You couldn't have made a whole movie out of Beowulf, really.
Right.
Even though it's a very long poem.
Yeah, it is an epic poem, don't get us wrong, but... Well, I mean, is it really an epic? Because it doesn't start in the middle. But anyways, that's semantics.
It's a very long poem about 3 things that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the most interesting one then, because there isn't much to say about this, really, the first 2. Do you think this is a good movie in its own right?
No. No. I think this... I was... No joke. We have watched Atlas Shrugged, Part 1. Alice's Restaurant. Assassin's
Part 1.
Creed. Was it Blue is the Warmest Color? There's another one in there somewhere, isn't there?
No, I think this is our second one, B.
This may be... Holy crap, how did we pull that off? By the way.
Convenience.
Right. This, to me, is almost on Atlas Shrugged level. I did not enjoy this at all. Like, watching it.
There are some things I like about it. Like, it's a very bold film.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And I quite liked that they really went all in with, okay, no, we're gonna make a movie that if the Geats were alive today, they'd like this film. They'd be all in for it.
Oh yeah, we gotta make sure we appease the geek family.
But it's such a weird film. I mean, part of the thing is they're hamstrung because they obviously wanted to be true to the poem.
Well, yeah, the thing is, there's some weird shit in the poem that you don't need to... Look, okay? Okay, you know what my biggest issue is with this movie? It's the testosterone.
It's
This...
so funny.
This movie is such a crazy male power trip fantasy that it's... And, like, it's...
And it's for the it's quite a long film as well, by the way. It's not a short movie.
Yeah, was it like 180 some minutes or something?
And for
it's not that long.
for the vast majority of the film, it's the most macho film imaginable.
Oh,
And
my
then,
God.
like at the very last minute, it goes, "Maybe being a hero is a hollow pursuit." Da, 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 da.
But even then, they do that in like a super macho way, right? So there's this scene, right? After we fast forward in film, I'm not going chronological. I'm just starting to point shit out, all right? There's a scene when we fast forward in time, right, where these raiders have showed up to challenge Beowulf, right? Beowulf. And I say that because that's literally how he fucking says his name every time. I'm Beowulf.
Well, I mean, Ray Winston, like, there's a different movie here where Ray Winston was not someone's natural choice for Beowulf, right?
Right.
And it's quite a different film, you know?
Oh, this isn't that long of a movie, actually. It's 1 hour and 55 minutes.
Oh, it felt longer.
Yeah, it feels long. But, so there's these raiders that show up, right? And Beowulf and his army just slaughter these guys, except for one, right? And this guy's like, I'm gonna kill Beowulf. I'm gonna be the one who killed Beowulf. And at this moment, this is when Beowulf realizes, like, oh, what he has been seeking for his entire life is bullshit. Like, no, this isn't what he wanted. He didn't, like, being a king sucks. What he had to do to become king sucked. Like, everything. And instead of just being all like, no, my child or whatever, you don't want this, and there's burdens, blah, blah, blah. He, once again, basically strips naked and just screams repeatedly at this guy, kill me! Kill me! until his manliness, right, his pure testosterone-driven guilt makes the other man weep. He's like, his Beowulf's guilt is so strong and muscular that it makes lesser men crumble. Like,
it's impossible to communicate how weird a movie this is. So first of all, this movie opens, I think, fine.
yeah.
You've got the Geats, right? Well, they're not Geats, are they? They're Danes. They're the Danes, because he's a Geat from across the sea.
Yeah. Where
So
are the Geats originally from?
Oh, do you know? I don't even know. Let me take a look. Geats.
I feel like I'm going to look at, like, some horrible, like, slang.
North Germanic.
Okay.
Middle southern Sweden.
Okay.
So,
Wait,
it's
why
so
did he
funny.
come across the sea?
I don't know. So this is considered to be one of the earliest works of English literature because the oldest manuscripts written in English, but it was written by people who were from Denmark, basically. Like,
Right.
so it's no connection to England. It's very Scandinavian in its mythology. But the opening is really it's fine. You've got these guys. They have a mead hall. John Malkovich says mead. Very quietly. And they have a party, and this monster shows up. And they do, you know what, this is one of the things I do like. They basically show that he has, like, an exposed eardrum that leaves him, like, really sensitive to noise.
Here's the thing about that. I'm glad that they gave an explanation, because I'm pretty sure in the poem there was really no explanation. It was just...
He's just
Grendel's-
evil and doesn't like happy people.
Right. So, but it is maybe the dumbest explanation they could come up with. It's like, oh yeah, Grendel's really pissed off because he has a birth defect.
Well, I mean,
Cool.
he's basically... This is what happens when Anthony Hopkins has sex with a lizard. This is... You can't expect, like, a... I mean, he's a horrible design. Like, he's basically, like, exposed flesh, the man, right? That's what he looks like.
He looks like... This is my biggest issue.
He looks
Or
like the
not my
Toxic
biggest issue.
Avenger.
Yeah, like... like, he has, like... No, you know what he actually looks like to me? So, they market this film as being this crazy, awesome, computer-generated, motion capture extravaganza, right? And, okay, for the time being, it looked pretty cool, right? It's... I'll give them credit for the time that it was made. What was it, like you said, 2007, 2008?
I mean, but let's look at some other things that came out in 2007 in CGI. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's an ugly movie.
Yeah, it's an ugly movie, but the technology is kind of fascinating, I think. I think the technology is pretty interesting. So you have all these characters in film that look pretty close to lifelike, which at the same time, I'm like, why don't you just make this a real life movie?
Some do. Robin Wright doesn't.
No, God, no.
Some characters look very cartoony.
But Grendel looks like horror from the Page Master.
Yes. Grendel is not a great looking villain. But you know, okay, fair enough. That's where the CGI's at. So he shows up and he trashes the building, and then Anthony Hopkins goes, "We'll close the meat hall so we don't attract Grendel."
No merrymaking.
Right, and that's fine. That's the premise, okay? Up to that point, I think the film is fine. And then next we see Beowulf, and he's on his boat, and he's riding with his friend Wilguth. And they're just sailing through the ocean, and they're like screaming into the rain, like rah, 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 and they're just sailing, like it's just wet, like
Well,
and then
just sailing like it's Christopher Cross, you know. just sailing, take me away.
And then they arrive. They meet the first guard, who immediately threatens them. And Beowulf's greeting is, "I've come to kill your master."
All right,
which is terrible. But also the guard's like, "Oh, people from across the sea coming to help. Fuck you." Like, why is he? I thought the king put a call out for heroes. But anyway,
right. Was it? By the way, was that the scene that you're like, "Oh yeah, this was 3D, wasn't it?"
No.
Oh really? That's the one I got, because this spear lingers.
Oh,
pointed at the screen.
there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
The one that I got it was when the Geats first arrive in the hall, and there's the woman cleaning the table.
Oh.
So, this was an early 3D movie in the 3D revival, and there is a scene where a CGI woman with like a buxom wench
With
of medieval
titties.
She has a huge jiggly cleavage, and there's a camera close-up, and she's like cleaning a table, so they're like swaying back and forth like into the camera. It was amusing to me. This is like, I would have thought we were past that even then. This whole thing of like, hey, point things at the camera for 3D, you know?
Right.
But apparently not. So they open the mead hall. Beowulf clearly likes Anthony Hopkins' wife. He's a not bad CGI character. But
Anthony Hopkins?
yeah, but from that point on, I think the movie like really it gets weirder and weirder the longer it goes. There is man, I'm just rolling over the plot here, but so I think weirdly enough, the first half where it sticks closer to the poem is stronger, I think. Mm-hmm. Beowulf is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
His voice is atrocious. I think Ray Winston was woefully miscast.
Or drunk.
John Malkovich's character is the highlight of the film, because John Malkovich clearly doesn't give the slightest bit of a fuck.
Oh, yeah, no, he got a paycheck.
He was literally phoning it in. I think I heard a dial tone at one point. Like, where's Umrath? Oh, he's not here right now.
My favorite is when he was supposedly... like, I thought he was being sarcastic at first, but when he goes to apologize to Beowulf...
And he's like, I am so sorry.
He's like, please forgive me for the words that I spoke earlier. I said them in haste, and here's the sword, my family heirloom sword, and I hope we're cool.
There's one scene, and I don't know why it's in the movie. I don't know if they just thought nothing had happened for a bit and they needed an action scene, or if they're supposed to be implying something deeper with it. But it's when John Malkovich is saying to him, I heard that you challenged a guy to a swimming race and you lost.
This is a weird scene.
And then he tells the story of the swimming race, and he goes, oh, so what happened was we were swimming, and then we were attacked by sea monsters, and I killed 9 of them. And you get a flashback, and it's this big action scene of him killing sea monsters. And then when they get back, his friend's like, last time it was 3. So he's clearly, like, lying, but nothing ever comes of that story.
Okay, so there's a weird thing about that scene, too, where I thought there was something else they were gonna try to bring in, right? So he says, oh, and the last sea monster grabbed me by my leg and pulled me down under, right?
Right.
But when they show that happening, it's a mermaid, right? And it's him swimming towards the mermaid.
And the mermaid was like, do you want to win this race? Fuck me.
But nothing happens of it.
And then towards the end of the movie, Beowulf gets out his little black book, and it's just all the mythological creatures he's had sex with. Look, this was a centaur. Aren't centaurs usually male? No.
Whatever. It's the Danes.
We're accepting.
But
yeah, why not?
The Geats.
The Geats
they
were
were
all...
into some stuff.
I mean, What the hell was that scene there for? It felt like they were not just including it for action. It felt like they were trying to say something with it.
Right.
But I don't know what they were trying to say with it.
Like, I think... Okay, so this was my thought through the whole thing, is that... I feel like there was an attempt, some sort of attempt, to make this movie a bit of a commentary on the problems with, like, hero worship and then, like, how, like, legends become legends, right?
Right.
Like, because I mean, we get two very, very clear examples of this happening where Beowulf just flat out lies. Like, he just straight up lies. And
You talking about when he doesn't kill Grendel's mother?
there's one where he doesn't kill Grendel's mother. And the other one was a sea monster story.
Right.
And
Although we don't know exactly what the lie was. We just
Right.
know that there was a lie.
right, but he allows this legend to grow and get bigger. But the funny thing, nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of this commentary.
Yeah, the fact that he lied about Grendel's mother is very important, but the whole sea monster scene contributes nothing to the rest of the story. There is sort of, I suppose, a theme in there in that, well, not the sea monster bit, but Hrothgar slept with the Grendel's mother and fathered Grendel and lied to everybody and kept it secret, and it became a curse that lingered with him. And if there's one scene in the movie that I think's pretty good, it's when he gets back and he tells Hrothgar that he killed Grendel, and Hrothgar's like, Grendel's mother, and Hrothgar's like, no you didn't. But he's just like, fuck you, problem's yours now. Peace!
In the most extraordinary way, too. Just sword out, arms extended. Just victory pose right off a balcony. Just,
And then he left. I love that scene, because I think it was supposed to look dramatic, but it just looks silly. When the water comes in and then the gold, like, whoosh, just
yeah.
whips him away. It's there's something there to it, but it doesn't seem to know whether it wants to be just a crazy fun adventure movie or something deeper, you know? Because the whole thing of like, oh, I slept with a lizard and now I fathered a dragon isn't as cool as you think it might be. It's expressed very somberly, you know?
Well, and the funny thing is, too, is that it like I said, like, of all the, like, weird sort of things I felt like they were maybe trying to do, another one was this idea of you know, the sins of the father sort of thing, right?
Yeah, they really hammer that home, don't they, though? They didn't just, like, let you... It said the sins of the father! The sins of the father!
Sins of the father!
Need.
But yeah, it's one of these things too, where like, okay, the horrible things that these guys have, or I mean, horrible things. They slept with a lizard.
It's pretty horrible.
She's still hot.
That's not her true form, though.
Who cares?
I'll remember that.
You're telling me in that moment, if naked ass Angelina Jolie comes out of the water, regardless of her weird high heel feet or the tail, you wouldn't do that?
What, and doom the kingdom?
You don't know that. You don't know that. That's information that's privy to us, the viewer.
I think he knew.
But so it's one of these things, right? So these guys, you know, did something wrong to get where they are, and eventually comes back to haunt them, right? Here's the issue with that, right? So Anthony Hopkins' character screwed a lizard, got a hideous toxic Avenger, right?
Right.
Beowulf.
Oh yeah, he gets a beautiful golden boy.
Yeah, he gets a motherfucking dragon that turns into...
Hrothgar clearly had rancid sperm, like just not useful.
It's like, in that last moment, I'd be just like, screw you, Hrothgar, I got a dragon.
I mean, the dragon is pretty much out for revenge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was one bit I liked, actually, and it's I think it was a little bit of a dig at the original poem, but it's quite funny. When they get attacked again, and Hrothgar's like, oh, it's Grendel's mother, and Beowulf's like, sorry, what, Grendel's mother now? How many are we gonna have to kill? Grendel's father? Grendel's brother-in-law? Grendel's uncle? I just thought that was very funny. Like, legitimately funny.
Yeah, I actually like that bit too. I think my favorite bit, and it wasn't even like a laugh out loud moment, it was definitely a chuckle. But when Beowulf is going to go into the cave for the first time, and Gleeson, I can't remember, Brendan Gleeson,
yeah,
his character, goes, do you want me to go in there with you? No. Good.
I do quite like also when the servant turns up with the dragon chalice, the cup, and he's like, he says he found it on the moors, and then he's just beating him because John Malkovich is always beating people, and then Beowulf's like, where did you find it? And he's like, where did you find it? The moors? And he's like, but that's what you just said.
Oh, okay.
Like 2 seconds ago, he just told you it was on the moors. Weren't you listening, King Beowulf?
So here's the thing. That's not how, like, deals work, right? Because... so the deal was... I know this review, we're all over the place, people, and I am sorry, but this movie is fucking ridiculous. I don't have the mind to go through this in an organized fashion. So, like Owen said, the deal was Grendel's mother gets to keep this fancy drinking cup, and Beowulf gets to keep the kingdom, right? That's the deal. Right. It doesn't null and void the deal if Grendel's mother just fucking gives the cup back, you know?
I mean, she doesn't say, like, Beowulf has to get it back either. She says, as long as I possess it. So if she'd just taken it down to cash converters and pawned it, would that have nullified the deal, you know?
No!
If she just dropped it, you know?
It would have to be someone else enacting a force, or Beowulf himself taking it back, right?
Right. Even if he'd done it, like, by mistake, you know? Even if she tricked him into doing it. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. Someone brought it to him.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh yeah, it's that cup. He's like, get the cup away from me. He's a terrible liar, have you noticed? Like, he does not lie well in this movie.
No. Yeah, because every time it's like, is that what happened? Yeah.
Maybe.
And there was, it was a giant sea monster, right? And,
I mean...
Like, when he's lying in those moments, it looks like Cole Phelps from L.A. Noire is questioning him.
Well, what's really funny is Hrothgar sends him to go kill Grendel's mother. When he gets back, Hrothgar's like, so how did it go? And he's like, yeah, I slayed the hag. And I'm like, well, Hrothgar clearly knows about Grendel's mother, so why are you lying? And he's like, Beowulf, we both know that she's no hag. And he's like, what? No, I didn't fuck her!
Are you suggesting I fucked her? No. What, you think I couldn't? I'm Beowulf.
I mean, he spends half the thing naked, so I just imagine the next time he took off his clothes, he just had, like a scratched-up, scale-covered penis, you know, like, no, I didn't have sex with a lizard, what are you talking about? It's all, like, mangled. It's got, like, fire burns, or, like...
It's forked.
It's got a little brand on the side, Grendel's mother was here, you know, like, no.
Look closer. He definitely fucked a lizard.
The dragon chalice is, like, rectally inserted. Like, what? She was into it.
Comes just limping in. Every time just...
Hrothgar's like, wait, does that mean you possess it or her? I think she's pretty much in charge of this situation still.
Look, when you have a chalice in your ass, you command nothing. Them's the rules.
And then when the dragon attacks, oh, I think I just filled the chalice.
Mead.
This isn't mead. The reason we're making fun of this, by the way, I don't think we've properly mentioned this, but John Malkovich gets one of the very first lines in the movie, and that line is mead. It doesn't sound like the way anyone from any time period would call for mead. And I can't get the sound of it out of my head. Mead.
Mead.
So you think he's gonna be like this meek character, but when the guy bringing the mead spills it, he beats the shit out of him. For no reason.
He doesn't even really like beat him, or they don't animate it well enough because those hits don't look like they're having like any impact. It looks like he's just kind of waving the stick in front of this kid's face and then like dragging it across his back a little bit. He's like, It just really looks real impotent, honestly.
It's such a strange movie. So one of the things I think is really interesting is this movie is not a
good movie?
For an animated movie. It's certainly not a family movie.
No.
Partly because they were like, okay, we need to get some really like adult moments in, but they should all be terrible. Mm-hmm. Like, there's one moment where I legitimately out loud groaned at a joke. Mm-hmm. And it's when one of the Geats is seducing that woman outside. And she says, no, it's when she says, he says, what is that? Is that Grendel? And she says, Grendel never makes any noise when he comes. And he goes, well, I will. I was like, alright, Zemeckis. Sorry, did you get that one on a toilet wall? A Beowulf toilet wall? It's so bad.
No, the one that got me, right, was... So there's this really awkward scene, right? There's a lot of awkward scenes, but this one's up there. Is Beowulf is preparing to fight Grendel, right? And no one tells him he has to do it this way, by the way. He just kind of takes it upon himself, or he's like, well, if Grendel doesn't have a weapon or armor... I'll fight him naked, so we're on equal footing. Like, no,
because he's got big claws,
right? Yeah, he's a fucking monster.
As we've established, he's impervious to swords because they had swords, and you're not.
Yeah,
that's not how this works.
Right.
This is just suddenly equal.
So he's stripping in front of the king's wife, right? And no joke, like it was a cheap porno film. He drops his trowel, and poor Robin Wright Penn had to animate this, or do this face. She goes, she literally gasps. She gasps and is taken aback by apparently the size of Beowulf. And I was like, are you kidding me? Really? Like, I know this was 2007, whatever, but I thought we were a little bit past this idea of like women straight up like losing breath at the sight of a giant dick. Like,
or maybe in the age of the Geats, that was still it's sure is something. I mean, there were times when I thought it was supposed to just outright be like a comedy. Do you know what I mean? Like
there's moments where it wavered. I'm like, oh wait, is this a parody? Like, is this a parody? But it's not. It's not. And
then when it fast forwards and we get to the point where the dragon's attacking, I've never seen a movie that like was bored of the movie before I was. Do you know what I mean? Like the film wants to be done so much at that point. Like, you ever watched a movie that seems to be trying to get out, like get over and done with? Yeah, he's old now. There's a dragon. I guess. Could we just have the dragon flying for the last 20 minutes while Beowulf holds on, and that'll just be the end? Is that okay?
And what I want to know is how much did his own men hate him right? Because it's clear as day that Beowulf is hanging from this dragon, right? You can't miss it, right? It's not like the dragon
Kill the lizard fucker.
Right? And his men just start unloading arrows. Just no I thought of like, oh hey, is the target clear, trigger discipline, anything like that. It was just launching as many arrows at this dragon as they can, regardless that their motherfucking king is right there. And
well, I mean, he's sort of an absentee king as well, isn't he? I mean, the whole thing of Beowulf as king's really dumb anyway, because he's suddenly king, and they make it clear that he's spent the last time just out there adventuring. Like, it hasn't changed his life any,
Mm-hmm.
He just carried on killing monsters and stuff. Because you actually see, like, a montage of him killing all these, like a carving,
Mm-hmm.
of him killing all these beasts. So Beowulf basically just carried on as normal, even though he was king.
Right.
And, I don't know. I think at the end they were trying to go for that kind of vibe of like, oh, he's old now and he's come to the end of his life, but it just felt like it came out of nowhere. Even though that's from the poem, right? He's old when he fights a dragon. They desperately wanted the dragon to be some culmination, and yet it just feels like, okay, here's the ending now. He's old now. And I don't even... it even annoys me the way he killed the dragon, because they establish on the chalice.
That's another thing, too, right? How he kills this thing. Can someone explain to me how he couldn't reach the heart with the sword, right? Which is an extra, 2 feet off of his hand? Right? So first, he cuts his own arm off, right? Which that must have been one hell of a sharp sword, by the way, because he just, gives it, a little nick, and then he just, arms off. And so he's dangling from the chainmail, right?
Right.
So that's supposed to give him a few extra inches, I guess, or whatever.
He's trying to basically cut out the dragon's heart through its neck, basically.
Right.
Kind of.
And he still can't reach the heart, right? So he drops the sword and then reaches in with his bare hand, even though it's going to burn him, and then reaches it? He gave up an extra 2 feet of distance, right? And then was able to grab the heart. That's not how it works.
Even though it's not very clear, I guess the idea is supposed to be that he had to reach for it himself rather than stab it. You know what I mean?
It's still not how that works.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, the ending's kind of lame. I mean, so the issue is, in the poem, this third thing is not like another child of Grendel's mother, right? In the poem, it's just a dragon, right. Towards the end of his life, a dragon attacks. That's it, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to tie it to Grendel's mother again was kind of a weird, but then that's all the movies go going for it, basically, isn't it? This idea of Grendel being Hrothgar's son, and then the dragon being Beowulf's son. That's its only original contribution, really.
Right.
So it kind of tries to ride it through. I think, really, the problem with this movie is it's trying to be very, very true to the poem, but there are some things that just don't work if you try and take a poem written in the 1200s or the 1000s and turn it into a big-budget 2007 action movie. So it simultaneously sticks too close and then has to come up with some batshit insane ways of making that work. It's not a good movie.
No.
There are times when it's so weird, it does become engrossing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we talked about that. I want to ask, what do you think of the animation?
So, here's the weird thing. A lot of people gave Polar Express a lot of guff over the whole Uncanny Valley thing, right?
Right.
I never had an issue with the Polar Express. Like, I watched it. I didn't get any of that. Like, I never got any sort of feeling of discomfort or anything like that. Within minutes of watching Beowulf, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Like,
Yeah.
It's so, because the thing that gets it is that it's so inconsistent, right? There's some characters like Anthony Hopkins, they did very, very, very well. Like that, his character comes off very well. I think Brendan Gleeson's character came off very, very, very well. I never had an issue.
The nice thing about Hrothgar is not only is the motion capture on the face very good, but the character animation whenever he's doing anything else feels attentive and like they put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah. I thought, honestly, Grendel's mother, Angelina Jolie, I thought they did that pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Everyone else in that movie just seems off, right? Like,
I think
Robin Wright's character.
Robin Wright's the worst.
Yeah, like she looks like. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like Robin Wright. I think she's a good actress.
Oh yeah.
I think she's done some really cool stuff. But it looks like they took a excuse me, sorry. They had made like a plastic mold of her face. And then like stretched it over a like featureless like mannequin head.
It doesn't look great.
Yeah, it's too smooth in weird ways. Like even when they age her, they don't like really age her face. They just give her like gray hair.
Yeah.
I
don't like it. And I think she's one of the worst. Not because she is the worst one, but because you spend a lot of time looking at that character.
Very closely, too. Like, they shoot her almost, like, entirely in close-up.
Do you know the one I found surprisingly hard to watch? It's Beowulf's mistress when he's older.
Yeah. She's also kind of... It's like...
She looks wrong.
Right, and because, like, I get what makes it really awkward is we know she's young, right? We never get an actual age, but the animation they do on her makes her look 10.
Yeah. I mean, she's obviously not that young, but she looks... Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
And I have to say, for a movie called Beowulf shouldn't be the fakest, crappest looking one.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't look great. I also, maybe this is a budgetary thing, and I get that, like, the original story of Beowulf takes place mostly around that hall, but can you imagine if a CGI movie came out today and it had, like, this few locations or settings or scenes in it?
Right.
It's like the CGI movie equivalent of a low-budget film in terms of, like, sets.
And my thing is, like, how shitty of a king was, like, Hogarth or Hrothgar? Hrothgar. But,
he was king of that one hall.
Right. Like, oh, I built this mead hall. Cool, where's your castle? Here.
I guess I'm king now.
Like, okay. Like, what if the whole time we realized that, like, these people weren't kings at all? They're just kings in the sense that, like, oh, I frequent this bar so much that I'm a regular. It's like, oh, the king's here. Right? Like, they're basically the norms of Daneland.
Yeah. Do you know what's really the saddest thing about this, though, for me? And the thing I find the hardest to believe?
What's that?
This was written by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, like
when I saw that in the credits, well, not the credits, when I saw that in the like info before I started watching it, I got quite interested in it. It's Neil Gaiman and Roger Avery, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know what Roger Avery wrote?
What's that?
Pulp Fiction.
Huh.
And do you remember that movie Killing Zoe? That. So the guy who wrote Killing Zoe and Pulp Fiction, and Neil Gaiman, and the guy who directed Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, and God, what else did Zemeckis do that was huge and well regarded? They produced this.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, like, I know, like, Neil Gaiman has, like, a weird, like, love affair with, like, Norse mythology.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, the thing about Neil Gaiman is I know he had a weird love affair with a lizard.
So, I mean, I guess, like, it makes sense. But, yeah. Well, because, like, I'm kind of curious. Because of the writing process of it. It wasn't like they were coming up with a new story. I imagine the writing process was, we're going to settle down with the source material, chop it up, come up with how to make this like cinema, and write just enough dialogue to give it context. You know what I mean?
Yes. Because the bones of the story are basically the poem. The major deviation is Hrothgar being the father of Grendel, and Beowulf not killing Grendel's mother. That's quite a deviation, but it's only really a thematic one. And they do actually end on that relatively interesting point when Wilgoth's like, when he says, no, I didn't kill Grendel's mother, and he's like, no one will remember that. You killed Grendel's mother years ago, and then you became king. The idea being, like, they actually wrote into the story, this is what really happened. This is the real story of Beowulf. But,
the Hollywood untold story, Beowulf.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not really fair to blame, to question Neil Gaiman or Roger Avery, since you're right. Like, what writing is involved in the translation of this from the poem to that? Literally some dialogue and that one conceit that he didn't actually kill Grendel's mother, he slept with her. Like, and I'm willing to bet Neil Gaiman came up with that one. I've read Stardust. Yeah. It's no Coraline.
So, I mean, there's so many weird little things with this. And the problem, the real weird issue is that because it was animated, right? Every single thing that you see on the screen is something that someone had to go, yes, I for sure want this on the screen right now. It's not like there was like a bunch of B-roll that they're like, okay, let's slap this in there and let's fill a little time with this or like that. Like at the end, right? When Beowulf has died, and they set his boat on fire in the most like inconvenient way possible. They don't just set it on fire like with a flaming arrow or something like that. They make sure that the boat sails underneath an arch, and they pour molten steel onto it. It's like, okay. Like, how long did that poor bastard have to sit up there with the molten steel, like, hoping for a good wind? You know? But at the very end, like, the ship is sinking and it's burning, and then we see Grendel's mother show up, right? To kiss.
Right.
But the way they film this, or not film it, but the way they have this like shot composition laid out, it looks like from Man of Steel. There's that scene where Superman is punching Zod downward, and they're both like falling through like the building that's collapsing around them. It's shot in the same way, right? So it looks way busier than it really is. Like the camera is like shaking a little bit. There's like stuff falling in front of Grendel's mother and Beowulf's body. But it's supposed to be like this, I don't know, I guess sort of tender moment where she kisses Beowulf dead body for the last time.
Sorry my dragon son killed you.
Right. Or a dragon son killed you.
And then she pops up to tempt Wilgoth.
And then like Wilgoth sees this, right? Because he's the POV for this. And then she just pops up in the water like, oh yeah, I know your lifelong friend is still burning in the background over here. But, what's up?
Well, I guess she's like an evil temptress, though. That's in character.
Yeah.
So, I won't lie. The weirder the movie got, the more I enjoyed it, in a sense, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Not as a movie, but as an experience to be like, huh. Do you remember how they marketed this movie, though? Because I remember very distinctly being surprised when I found out this was a CGI movie, because all the trailers focused really heavily on, you know when you have those moments where the characters look eerily close?
Yeah.
Like, I remember the trailers being very heavily the scene of Angelina Jolie coming out of the water. And that's where she looks the most like Angelina Jolie, you know?
Right. You know what I remember mostly about the marketing for this film? I remember them really kind of pushing this. It felt, okay, how do I say this? So 300 had came out the year before.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What I remember the most about the marketing for this, it was basically like, yo, you thought fucking Greeks were cool? Check out a bunch of Danish people. Right? And like that's what I remember about it. It was like they really tried to piggyback.
So here's
300.
Here's a question. One of these movies is state of the art Robert Zemeckis motion capture. One of these movies is mostly green screen and color correction. Which looks better?
Oh, 300.
Beowulf on 300.
300 by a landslide.
I mean, I just looked up because I was genuinely interested how much this movie cost.
Mm-hmm. Like $180 million or something like that.
Yeah, let me. I've already made. Yeah, well, it made $196 million, so it couldn't have made too much of a profit. But it cost $150 million. So it cost $150 million and it made $196. So that's pretty bad.
But the thing is, a lot of times those budgets do not include marketing costs.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this movie still lost money.
Sure. This might be the ugliest $150 million movie I've ever seen. I mean, even at the time, I mean, look, 2007, I'm going to Google 2007 in animation. These are other, and I get that the motion capture must have been expensive, right? Mm-hmm. But it was expensive and ugly, you know?
Yeah.
So let's see, 2007, Happy Feet came out.
Uh-huh.
The CGI movie Meet the Robinsons.
Uh-huh.
Ratatouille.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, Beowulf isn't even on this article of 2007 in animation. I guess they probably don't think of it as animation.
Yeah, it really is a hard to categorize movie. You know what I mean? Because it's...
Right.
It's very, very strange. Which I guess that is like Zemeckis' sort of shtick, isn't it? Like he's always kind of doing something a little weird when it comes to. I mean, like even like Forrest Gump. You know, he was the first one to kind of do this digitally inserting characters into stock footage of things.
Which, I mean, I imagine that's almost entirely why he made Forrest Gump. Because he's, like, his thing is technology, isn't it, really? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, Zemeckis, I think people have to remember, not only did Back to the Future, he did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is, like, the definitive live-action combining with animation movie, right? It's like the ultimate traditional animation and live-action combination film.
Yeah, like, okay, it's right here, when I look up Zemeckis in on IMDb, his little bio thing straight up right away says, a whiz kid with special effects. Robert is from the Spielberg camp of filmmaking. Like, yeah. Like,
I mean, it's not his only flop. I pulled him up on IMDb, and I think we can see he did also do Contact. But he was a producer, to be fair, not a director. But he was involved in Contact.
I kind of liked Contact.
Oh, what's wrong with you? Oh no, he did Direct Contact. That's fine.
I thought it was okay.
I liked Death Becomes Her.
It got far worse the minute she actually uses the machine, right?
For sure. Without a doubt.
God, what else? I was going to say something else about this film. Oh, okay. There's the fight with Grendel might be one of the silliest things I've seen on film in a long time. And
it's very hard to take an action hero seriously when he's naked, I have to say.
Well, yes, there's that. When they made the choice of him being naked, right? The fact that this is a PG-13 film, they've also locked themselves into this stupid decision where they now have to frame every shot where some sort of phallic-looking thing right in his crotchal region to hide his naughty bits. Like, I mean, there was a sword, there was a candle,
I will say,
there was a spear, there was like a shard of wood.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like watching a sort of action Austin Powers.
Yeah.
I kept expecting them to like pass a plate of sausages, you know?
Right.
I have to say though, they really embraced how far they could take that rating on Angelina Jolie though, didn't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she's basically got the anatomy of a Barbie, but you get very intimate with that Barbie.
Yeah.
They
make sure that can't, like, as if they were like tempting the ratings board. They like kept on bringing that camera closer and closer to what I guess essentially should be her vagina, but it's like a gold flat thing. But they bring that right up in there where it's like it was almost like, hey, do you want to be a gynecologist for today? Come on in. And it was like, wow, you guys are really pushing it, huh?
Can you imagine how disappointed Beowulf was though when he discovered there's no hole there? You know, because
there has to be something.
No, it's impenetrable. I can tell you. You can tell.
Maybe it opens up like a tomb from like Indiana Jones, or just like.
You know what I just discovered that's massively disturbing?
Mm-hmm.
Zemeckis' wife did the motion capture for Swaying Boob Lady.
Honey. So I need a favor.
It's Dude, I wonder if that was mocap. You know what I mean? Not just the faces. Because I think that's actually all they've motion captured here. I don't think they motion captured body animation. I could be wrong. I think they just motion captured the faces. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was definitely this. Well, of course it is. Ray Winston does not look like that.
Oh, sure, but you could still like motion capture his hand. But these days when you do motion capture, you do like body points and stuff, don't you? But I think this was definitely just faces.
I would say that the only one I would believe that they modeled body-wise might have been Angelina Jolie at the time.
Right.
Because this was right in, like, this is right in her sex symbol days. You know, where, like, just in the next year after this, she's doing, like, Wanted.
Oh my god. We are incorrect. I have just looked up a behind-the-scenes thing, and they have them in full motion capture. And Fat Ray Winston's being dragged around, and then he had to pretend being on a horse, and it's hilarious.
Well, that's why it looks weird, because it's his motion points, but it's not his body. Right?
They have him suspended in a zero-G rig swimming for the mermaid scenes and things like that. It's pretty funny. Although I think that's a stunt man. Do you know they'd have done better if they just made a cartoon, wouldn't they? This is a behind-the-scenes video, and I'm seeing the motion capture, and then it's cutting to how the film looks, and the film looks atrocious. The people flying around on rigs and things look better than the movie. So you don't like this film?
No.
I found some fondness for it, just in the sense of I actually thought it was a surprisingly, unexpectedly straight adaptation of the poem, and I think if you sort of went into it like completely going like, okay, they're really trying to capture medieval shitty human beings. There's a certain truth to it, but it's a really I think it's a really unnecessary movie because you've got to put yourself in that mindset, and who actually wants that movie? You know what I mean?
Right.
If what you really want is veracity and things like that, you want to go more truthful, you know what I mean? More realistic. Play down the supernatural stuff, you know?
Right. Like this or you know, even if it wasn't that, like it wasn't they almost have to double down on like how brutal like life would have been
Right.
at the time. Like this is gonna sound horrible, right? But there's this scene, like Owen Mountain mentioned it, where one of Beowulf's men is with this woman outside. He's getting real handsy with her, and she's saying no and no, no, and finally he relents, right? Let's be honest. If this is real world back then, that's happening. Like,
Right.
He is most likely going to rape her. And I'm not saying I want
Right.
to see that, but I'm just saying, like, this movie almost makes you feel like that's what's going to happen. But
Right,
then
but
it
it's
just
a
never
PG-13.
goes quite that far.
And it's not that I particularly want to see that. It's that the movie can't decide if it's like, okay, Game of Thrones is set in a fantasy kingdom, but Game of Thrones is a very uncompromising
Right.
take on medieval life. And this isn't that movie. But then it doesn't compromise in other places. Like, the movie makes no secret of the fact that, for example, Hrothgar's wife is not consenting anymore, you know?
Right.
And is done with him. But they don't go anywhere with it. They don't make any point about medieval life being... This is not a movie about medieval life. This is a movie about heroes from one-dimensional poems. And yet, it's not one-dimensional enough or complex enough. It's just in this weird middle space where nothing amounts to anything, but keeps sounding like it almost is supposed to. Basically.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, this is just like this movie's so hard to kind of like piece together because I don't. It's just weird. It's just a weird fucking movie, man.
But not weird good.
No, just
All right then. Well, maybe we should move on. Do you have anything else to say about it?
not particularly. Like, I mean, I feel like we kind of said what we need to say. It looks bad. It's not acted particularly well. Like, that doesn't... Okay, I guess we haven't really talked too much about this. About the acting.
Do we have to?
We get a lot of... So it kind of goes back and forth, right? We get a lot of, like, really phoning it in performances. Like, John Malkovich...
It is impossible to communicate how lazy John Malkovich is in this movie.
That is. Honestly, I thought that Angelina Jolie's performance was kind of phoned in, right?
Yeah.
It was a little.
She does an accent.
She does an accent.
Crispin Glover fucking gives it his all.
Right,
and that's what crap he has to do.
And it then flip flops, right, to these people like Anthony Hopkins and Ray Winston and Crispin Glover, who are not necessarily giving good performances, but they're giving such over the top crazy performances. Like they literally think it looks like they're putting on like a stage play of Beowulf.
Nobody told Crispin Glover that no one else in the movie was going to be doing it in Old English.
Right. Like he found the Old English, like learned all that. It's like, halfway through, like, oh, hey, no, real English. Are you kidding me? Like, no.
I'm Crispin Glover!
I'm doing Old English.
I think Anthony Hopkins is fine. I think he puts a great performance in, but it's Anthony Hopkins. Like, he always does.
Yeah, I can't... Well, there's a few movies, but... but yeah, it's... Because you have Ray Winston, who's basically a lunatic through the whole movie.
I mean, to be fair to Ray Winston, he does exactly what he always does. Like, he is 100% Ray Winston all the time, and that's what he's doing here.
But there's other movies Ray Winston's in that are pretty good. Like, I think
sure. But that's when...
Like, him in The Departed, he's really good.
Right, but that's when 100% Ray Winston was called for, you know?
Right.
To me, I feel like this film doesn't really know what it wants to be. Mm-hmm. It's so true to the poem at the worst of times, and then deviates also at the worst of times, you know?
Right.
Do you think it would have been better if it had deviated more?
I think at a certain point, like, it could have just fucking went for it, right? Like, if... Like, I think it would have been okay. I mean, I don't even think it would have been a great movie. But if they basically cut the dragon section off, or the entire...
I agree.
The entirety of him getting older bit, they would just cut that, and instead just filled that with a scene of him versus Grendel's mother, right?
Yeah.
That would have been more interesting to me. Like, I get it.
Had her appear as a dragon, but without him getting older. Because we never really see her true form. She could have just been a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything after the story advances is really quite dull.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, so the interesting thing about this is there is a connection between Beowulf and Christianity, the manuscript.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, it was found in the records of monks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's stuff in the poem about Grendel being the son of Cain, like descended from Cain.
Right.
But it is very widely accepted, or widely believed, that most of the references to Beowulf in Christianity in Beowulf
were
not necessarily added in that particular manuscript, but were added by monks, because it was quite common at the time to take these old legends and then they would just kind of tack in a little bit of Christianity as Christianity was growing, you know?
Right.
Just to kind of keep it on message, you know? But this movie's kind of leans into Christianity a little bit, right? Like,
sort of?
Not heavily.
There is a scene where, like, oh, we'll pray to Odin and Thor, and we'll pray to these, and then, like, as, like, a side note, John Malkovich's like, I don't know, do you want to pray to the Roman god, too? Yeah, sure. It's like...
Actually, weirdly enough, he says no.
Right.
He says, no, the gods can't save us now. Mm-hmm. But, when he gets older, he sort of, Beowulf kind of plugs Christianity a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit.
He's like, yeah, that's good and stuff.
Alright. Christians. Okay.
I mean, Beowulf seems to be a little bit sad about Christianity, though, because he is quite sad that they killed all the monsters. He does say that. There are no monsters left because Jesus Christ killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
Which does make it sound like somewhere in this movie's universe, Christ's out there with like a fucking warhammer, you know?
I am Jesus!
King of the Jews!
Redeemer! Believer! I'm a joker! A smoker! A midnight toker!
I like the idea of Jesus being 420 friendly. Yeah, they put a few nods in there. The idea that the arrival of Jesus has killed all the demons. Mm-hmm. When they do explicitly say they're demons. Water demons, right?
Yeah.
The two creatures.
Grendel's mother still hangs around at the very end.
Yeah, Jesus didn't get hurt. Well, Jesus probably met up with her and then, you know...
Probably slept with her.
Fucked her.
So
Beowulf.
this makes me laugh, right? So I'm looking at Ray Winston's IMDb, and under Beowulf, they have him credited as Beowulf, Golden Man, and then Dragon.
Wait, so did he do the mocap for the dragon?
Right, those two characters don't have any lines. The Golden Man
And the Golden Man, the only time you really see him, he's dead.
and he doesn't look like Ray Winston at all.
I do love that scene, not unironically, like not genuinely, but when the Golden Man's dead, Beowulf's like, "Oh my
My
my hideous
my boy.
crossbreed dragon monster that killed people's son."
He wasn't all bad.
I mean, literally, I knew only two. I had only two interactions with him. The one where he threatened to kill me, and the one where he tried to kill me. But I knew deep down.
Oh yeah, and then my third memory when I killed him.
Yeah. Mind you, he says, like, the dragon's like, "I'm gonna come and take revenge and kill you." What does he do when he gets there? He burns Unferth without killing him, and then he just flies around a bit. Like, he's not attacking when he's flying about, you know? He's just flying about.
Yeah, he's just kind of doing his thing, I guess.
Also, why is he a dragon? Like,
Dude.
Hrothgar sleeps with the water demon and gets Grendel. I know we talked about this already.
Yeah.
Beowulf gets a shining golden man who can turn into a dragon. And I don't know why if they're water demons. It doesn't make sense, John.
Look, we're cool with the existence of these things, all right? We're not questioning that. But genetics do have a couple rules you need to follow when it comes to genetics.
I have to say, though, it speaks to something. After Back to the Future 1, Crispin Glover and Robert Zemeckis really fell out. Because Robert Zemeckis was apparently really annoyed because Crispin Glover was a very inexperienced actor and he never knew, like, where to put himself, didn't know how to work with cameras or anything.
Right.
And then when Back to the Future 2 came along, everyone else was like, "Yeah, we'll come back for same deal and stuff like that." Whereas Crispin Glover was like, give me some money, you know? I'd like more money for it. So that's why Back to the Future 2 is the movie it is, right? Because they had to use all this archive footage. And then he sued them because now you can't use actors' likenesses in your movie. You can't make up another actor to look like a previous actor, because that's what they did. They put that, you know, like the future George McFly is that guy in prosthetics to look like Crispin Glover. But they've apparently, like, they were feuding for years. Like, they wouldn't speak to each other. And this was the first project they worked on again. And Crispin Glover is so weird and eccentric, he didn't realize this is a massive insult. Like, "Hey, Crispin, you want to be my... You want to be... You want to be a weird, malformed freak who talks shit all the time?"
Yep.
I always liked
Beowulf.
when what's his name, the guy who used to play Biff, had that brief career as a comedy musician.
Yeah.
And he had that song, you know, "What's Michael J. Fox like?" But one of that lines was, "What's Crispin Glover like? Unusual." Because he's quite strange.
He is a strange man.
From what I understand. He tried to do that whole Andy Kaufman thing with, like, the Reuben Farr character.
Yeah.
Remember he was on The Late Show and stuff? And then years later, I don't know why, but do you remember the YouTuber Little Loca? Or Lil Loca? Was an actress who used to pretend to... She was an actress who used to pretend to be like a sassy Latino character.
Okay.
And do vlogs under those in character. she was never, like, huge. I don't know how big her channel got, but she was an actress and she had multiple characters and she was trying to break in through YouTube and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And very early on, like 2006, I used to watch her videos on YouTube. And then he just turned up as the Ruben Farr character, just in one of her videos. Oh no, she's dead now. She committed suicide.
Oh God.
Nothing to do with Crispin Glover. I looked it up because I wanted to see what she'd been doing, but yeah, it looks like she committed suicide. That's very sad. Very sad and unexpected. But she used to have this YouTube channel, and Stevie TV, she got her own TV show on VH1. Stevie TV. Stevie Ryan was her name.
Okay.
She had this character called Little Loca. I guess she must have just known some famous people and known Crispin Glover, because he was just in a video one time. That was when I realized Crispin Glover was a strange person. I'm not suggesting he was implicated in her suicide or anything. This is just an accidental connection.
I know that like YouTube is, you know, way better or bigger than, you know, it was, I guess, like when we were in high school or whatever. But I still have this weird moment when I see like actual like movie stars and stuff on YouTube videos. It's a weird disconnect. Like recently, like the Game Grumps, right? I'm a big fan of the Game Grumps, and they every once in a while they do like these guest grumps, right? And they have celebrities come in, and generally the celebrities aren't huge, right? They're generally not real big, and it was like people like, okay, they had like Finn Wolfhard, who's from Stranger Things, right? You know, right. He's on the rise, but I wouldn't say he's big. You know, he had like Weird Al They had Weird Al Yankovic on one.
Markiplier did a video with Jack Black to promote Goosebumps.
Yeah. But then just recently they had Jamie Lee Curtis on. When that I was like, whoa, really?
Yeah. I never like them because I feel like they don't get the tone right because they have to be too
Right.
nice to the celebrities. Although they did do, have you seen the Angry Video Game Nerd with
Macaulay Culkin? Yeah.
That was a great one. I thought it was really enjoyable.
I thought it was great the whole time he was pretending to be the pizza man.
Yeah. And then they got the actor who plays the pizza man in Home Alone to do a cameo later on in the episode.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Because that clearly came from a position of fun, you know?
Right.
But then Macaulay Culkin's trying to do a lot of that at the moment, where he's rebuilding his career through, like, self-parody. Like, have you seen he's got this whole site that's making fun of Goop?
Oh, is that the bunny thing, or?
Right. He held a poll to change his name. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing he's doing at the moment. Beowulf, everybody!
Yeah. I don't know. I
Sorry,
think that
Macaulay
just shows
Culkin changing his name is more interesting than this movie.
Yeah, it's not good. And like I said, the biggest flaw for me, it's just so much testosterone. And it's not even like in a self-deprecating way, like, oh, look how funny these guys are, right? They're being all stupidly, masculine and stuff. No, everyone is like way into it, right?
Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's too dumb. Okay. Well, we'll wrap up. Before our last question, I just want to say, yes, he held a poll to see what he should change his name to change his middle name, and the winner of the poll was Macaulay Culkin. So he's changing his middle name to Macaulay Culkin. So his name will be Macaulay Culkin. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's actually really good.
Absolutely. Which I quite like. So, final question. Is Beowulf a good member of the AdaptNation or a bad member of the AdaptNation?
It is assuredly a bad citizen of the AdaptNation. It is. It's a blight upon the nation. It's the ugly truth that they don't want to admit.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know what we're doing next fortnight because we haven't really talked about it yet, but
I actually have an idea.
Oh,
I wanted to bring up with you.
Okay, yo, sure, go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, and I feel like maybe I should have done this when we weren't recording because I feel like it's putting pressure on you.
Let's do it.
So some people know this, some people don't, but I have recently started a quest, as it were, to read all the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, you want to do Sorcerer's Stone?
I want to do the first 3 Harry Potter movies.
In one episode?
In one episode.
All right, we'll do it. I've seen all those before, so I can do it, but we'll do it. That's cool. That's what we'll do. So we'll do that next week?
Yes.
Well, next fortnight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Have you watched any of them yet?
I have as a child.
Okay.
Or I did when I was younger, but I don't remember like most of them. So I'm going to watch them.
So what I was just going to say before we get out of here, we don't have set times for this, but our goal is to get to every movie adaptation, right? We're going to try and get through them all. So I just think it's worth mentioning. We will be seeing Robert Zemeckis again.
Oh no.
For
Oh no.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
Forrest Gump. I believe Contact.
Yep. That was a Crichton book, I think?
Carl Sagan, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Polar Express.
That's a pretty easy one.
Christmas Carol.
Is what,
sorry? And yeah, well, I was thinking, does Welcome to Marwen count, given that it's sort of based on the documentary about the guy? But it's more sort of inspired by it. I'm not sure it does.
I don't think it does.
But there you go. So we'll actually be seeing Zemeckis. This is something I want to try and do more when we're going to be seeing a director again in the future. Mm-hmm. Some of these, I will say, we'll have a great time with. I would never get bored of watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yep. Contact's going to be a little tougher.
Forrest Gump, I really have issues with.
Well, it'll be an interesting one to talk about. And I don't know, is Castaway based on anything? I don't think it is it?
I don't think so.
Does Shamelessly Ripped Off from Robinson Crusoe count as an adaptation?
So you know, Welcome to Marwen, right? Which apparently is not very good, from what I understand.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I don't think the guy it's based on likes it.
Mm-hmm. So, like, the basis of the film, everyone... I'm sorry, we're going way off topic, but just something I just learned. So the movie's about a guy who gets just brutally attacked by like neo-Nazis, and he's Jewish, and has extreme PTSD, and he's racked with pain about everything, whatever. It's kind of a serious film with I imagine with a little bit of comedy thrown in just to make it
right.
You know, the tagline for this movie was, "You can't put this hero in a box." Oh my god. That's really bad.
So I just looked up Welcome to Marwen just because I looked films up as we're talking about them. And I just read this line. On August 21st, 2017, the director's wife, Leslie Zemeckis, was cast in the film for an unspecified role. She plays an actress in a pornographic film that Hogan Camp watches. What's wrong with you, Robert Zemeckis? Leave your wife alone.
Maybe she's way into it. You know?
So maybe that's what they do, like, after the movie's over, you know?
Well, now kind of... Okay, well then she has to have an IMDb page herself, right?
She does.
Leslie Zemeckis?
Leslie Zemeckis, that's the one. She's
attractive.
a pilot. Oh, what, that's the only criteria?
No, I'm saying, like, okay, I guess I get it. Like, if... I don't know what I was trying to say
It's just strange that he keeps putting her in these erotic roles in his movies. I mean, fair enough.
Right. But I mean, like, I guess what I'm... okay, this is going to sound bad, but I'm just saying if she hadn't been attractive in a traditional sense, like, it would feel real weird that he would keep putting her into these roles where her goal was to be ogled by, like, other people, you know?
I guess.
So, you want to see us out? Or, I'm sorry, like, what do you think? Do you think this is a good citizen or bad citizen of the AdaptNATION?
I think it's one of the straightest adaptations we've seen since Atlas Shrugged.
Oh yeah, there's definitely no homoeroticism in this movie.
Oh, I don't mean that. I mean one of the most direct adaptations.
Because let me be clear, folks, there is a lot of homoeroticism in this film.
I enjoyed the experience of watching this movie, even if I didn't enjoy this movie, but I can't see a situation where I would ever watch it again. A bad one, I guess. I don't love it. It was slow and boring for most of it, to be fair. Plus, he kills a sea monster for no reason. Alright! Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. My name is Owen Adams, and I have been your host, and your other host has been Jonathan Cadot. John, do you have anything you'd like the people to check out?
Well, you can stay tuned to this channel. Anything I do is going to be on this channel, and you can go back and watch past episodes of this show, or the weekly show other weekly show that me and Owen do called Those Aren't Biscuits. And yeah, we got some gameplay as well here on this channel. If you showed up for movie stuff, just know that that's not all we do. We do a lot of fun stuff.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Or you can follow me on Twitter, which is @JohnCPerson.
Sounds good. All right. See you later, people.
Have a good one.